or Ms. Maledy. What ideas do you have to strengthen our early childhood programs and our Parents as Teacher program? And what are your thoughts on how to close the achievement gap and the role that early childhood education and Parents as Teacher in particular play in closing the achievement gap? And finally, more focus is being placed on the early years of pre-K and first grade. How do you envision that moving forward while balancing developmentally appropriate practices? Do you need me to repeat?
I think I'll wing it.
Okay.
I think I mentioned that I had become involved with the early childhood when I first moved back to Columbia, and that's for a couple of different reasons. I've adopted different children, and the difference that early childhood education makes is just it's huge, and I've lived it, so I have a strong passion. I did go to Jefferson City and testify at one point for the Early Childhood Alliance, the Childhood Education Alliance, when they were talking about early childhood, and I've gone to speak to Hank Waters before when he was editor about early childhood education. My own personal belief would be that we would have some type of universal preschool available to children. I think we are learning more and more. I talked about the neuro learning. I think we're understanding so much more about young children and how they learn and the impact a safe, warm environment can make for them and their ability to learn. So I am very passionate about it, and I have continue to do research on it in my area of interest. But also, I think working and being willing to experiment a little bit at the educational level, reaching out and finding out what is working either within our own district or other districts that can make a difference, and doing more of those things that are positive and have the outcomes that we choose to is the way we'll continue to learn. But it's a very critical area, I think, for all the way through.
I love early childhood education for students. My background is in speech pathology, so I recognize the importance of early childhood education, the importance of developing language skills, vocabulary, language structure, social language, the important role of play for young children. So all of these things, the importance of balanced literacy, read alouds, guided reading, writing opportunities, lots of writing opportunities for kids, and really recognizing kids as they come in where we need to meet them where they are. So we need to think about all of the children that we serve, recognize that we're going to have to differentiate instruction for kids, recognize that kids need time just to be themselves. They need time for play. They need time for lots of social interaction at that age. And it also makes me think of equity in education. As kids come into our schools, again, we have kids from lots of different backgrounds. We need to recognize culture, identity, language. We need to also really look at the types of materials that we use, our instructional approaches. We really need to make that point in children's lives as promising as we can for them. And we have lots and lots of ways we can get there. It's working as a community to make sure we're reaching all kids.
In our school district and in our community, the rate of poverty has increased over time, and the challenges associated with poverty have grown with our school district. When you look at the group of children who are in what is called extreme poverty, and that is living on $2 a day per person in that family, that group that we see is in children 6 and under. So our first contact can't be preschool. Our first contact is parents as teachers. Oftentimes, the individuals who are in our parents and as teachers programs are the very first contact that parents who for themselves may not have had positive experiences in school But these educators are going out, they're sitting in the floor, they're working with families, they're working with children. They are advocating for helping these children. I was so absolutely proud when we were able to open the Center for Early Learning North with the goal of north, south, east, and west in our community. But to be in on the ground floor of putting together preschool, early childhood special education, and parents as teachers in one building to collaborate and to work with each other was one of the best experiences of my life. But there are issues we need to still address. Transportation for our parents in preschool is non-existent, and we have to dig into and find ways to address that issue so that boys and girls can get to preschool services.
I almost started clapping. You know, we have said over the last 9 years, too, that we do an excellent job with our finances of K-12, and people forget that all of our preschool children, we don't receive money for that. So we do a great job of managing pre-K to 12. And we have talked, maybe a little in jest, about maybe we need to do pre-K to 11. Maybe we need to divert more funds from our budget to pre-K. So that's one, when we talk about how do we do it. But Ben is so right. I mean, birth to age 5 is a huge time for our students across the nation. And in Columbia, we know that I think our poverty rate of children that attend Columbia Public Schools is about 45%. 40 to 45% of our students are in poverty. And most community members don't know that. And so when we talk about this as a community issue, and we talk about the great work that parents as teachers are doing, parents as teachers can't do it alone. This is really a community, it is a group effort. And I know I just heard Dr. Stiepelman speaking the other day about the business community getting involved. And so when we talk about looking at ways to solve that issue, it has to be a community issue. I do believe Columbia Public Schools, parents as teachers, our pre-K program is outstanding. One of the reasons why our community continues to grow is because of the services that we provide. And one of the services we provide is parents as teachers. And I am a proud board member to say that when the funding got cut for that from a state standpoint, we maintained our share. And so we do support parents as teachers. We think they do a fabulous job. Our pre-K program is outstanding. I wish we could do more full-day pre-K. And then the transportation issues, and then you just get into a whole mess that really involves our community at large, along with our school district.
I'm going to try to touch on everything here. This is one of the things that I've really become passionate about. Recently, I've become more active in Morley Street Roundtable, and really fell in love with that organization, and I'm really looking for more ways that I can get involved with it. And I think that's just one of many organizations in Columbia that we can explore options with. Full disclosure, I don't know what all we can do as a school board for this. This is such an issue and has so many different prongs to it. Race, income, there's so much that we need to work together to try to improve as much as possible and hopefully move as a collective push towards the right direction. I'm a public health student, so I see a lot of, and I'm learning a lot about how these early developments in children is crucial for development, growth, learning. When you grow up in an environment where you're in constant stress or not in a safe environment, that sets you up for you don't develop as well as you can. You don't learn as well as you can if you're constantly worried about something outside of school. So yes, parents as liaison. This is such a thing, you could talk on forever about this. Parents as teachers, teacher liaisons, community involvement. This is something that Columbia needs to know about, and it's something, I mean, in a perfect world it would be across the country. There's a lot of things that could be done, but community is such, or Columbia is, in my mind, such a community that we have the resources available that we can start making it a country model.